Live from the Channel Seed Studios. This is Jared and Jabo and Iowa Everywhere. Jared Stansberry. Jordan Bohannon. Together on Iowa Everywhere.
Yo, welcome into the podcast. It's been a hell of a night for Jordan Bohannon. It's Selection Sunday, recording in the Channel Seed Studios on Iowa Everywhere. What's up, man?
Hi, Jared.
You've been going through it.
I've almost done a lot of bad things today.
We'll keep it vague. The listeners can use their imagination what Jordan's been going through. It's not been a normal Selection Sunday for our friend, but we have the bracket. The bracket is out, and the NCAA tournament is now set. We know that Iowa is an 8 seed. We'll be playing Auburn on Thursday at 5:50 down in Birmingham. I'm sure we're going to talk just plenty about the site selection for that game. Iowa State will play the winner of Mississippi State and Pittsburgh, who are playing in a first 4 game early this week. They'll play in Greensboro at 2:10 on Friday. The winner of the Iowa game likely gets Houston, and then the winner of the Iowa State game will get either Xavier or Kennesaw State. Let's start with the Hawkeyes, since we know who they're actually going to be playing. What do you think of the draw?
It's a weird matchup. Auburn's in an SEC conference that is, I think there's a lot of great teams in the SEC this year. And these last, I think, 12 games, they've lost 9 of them. So they're coming off a very tough stretch. Obviously, all these games coming in conference play. It struggles me to find – I don't know what Vegas is going to choose for this line because this is just outrageous matchup in my opinion.
I already bet it. I already bet it at Iowa minus half a point.
Wow, Iowa's favored. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, we can start with the location, obviously, it being in Birmingham, 2 hours away from Auburn campus. Already tweeted about it. Already have Iowa State fans in my mentions saying I'm already making excuses. I'm a typical Iowa fan now. That's fine. But I struggle with this matchup because, Jared, they are a very interesting team from the aspect they're not necessarily a great scoring team, but they defend at a high rate. They get up into pressure the ball, something that, quite frankly, Iowa kind of struggles with this year. This game is also interesting on Iowa's side because they score the ball at a high rate. So this is going to be it's going to be a lot of difference of styles. But I don't know. I see this as being probably one of the better 8-9 matchups, draws that you wanted. Location-wise, no, but a draw compared to the other 8-9 seeds, I think Auburn's probably the best one they got.
I think you have a valid argument when it comes to the game being in Birmingham. I don't understand why an 8 seed's getting the benefit of the doubt to play or a 9 seed's getting the benefit of the doubt to play in their own state. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
I have people talking about on Twitter right now that, 8-9 seeds locations, they don't look at locations, it doesn't matter. How the fuck are you going to sit there and say that? I'm sorry, I already used the F word. I know I was trying
you're good. You're good.
I was trying to go as long as I could without saying the F word this episode. I don't understand how you don't look at it as an NCAA committee member because these teams that have these home games essentially, that creates a huge disadvantage for the other team. Yes, there's other teams in that region. There's other fans that are come in and watch those games. But I've played in these games. We played Cincinnati and Columbus. Like, they're a 7 seed. If you want to go off the seed line, why is 7 seeds getting favored? Yeah, we're a lower seed than they were, but I mean, how are they getting a hometown, basically home state game?
I just don't understand how anybody can make the argument that it doesn't matter for location. Like, there's 2 other 9 seeds. You can't flip them. and have one go to Birmingham and one go to wherever else. I guess, West Virginia, I think, is a 9 seed, and that game is also in Birmingham, playing against Maryland, because that's in in Alabama's region. But like, I understand Alabama playing in Alabama, but how does nobody on the committee sit there and say, hey, maybe it's kind of weird that we have Auburn also playing in Birmingham?
And I hate to be one of these guys too, Jared, but I feel like Iowa in the NCAA tournament, I know everyone's going to start coming attacking me. Here's Iowa fans screaming at the clouds that it's raining. I feel like Iowa's been absolutely railed by the NCAA committee these last few years that they've been in the NCAA tournament. I mean, go down the line. I talked about playing Cincinnati and Ohio. I think when Iowa played in the playing game, they played Temple and Brooklyn. We played the Pac-12 champs in the second round of the NCAA tournament, the team that got a bye of all teams in the NCAA tournament during the COVID year. Richmond, we turn around, play on a Thursday game. After winning the Big Ten championship, we get rewarded with a 5 seed, which was absurd in the time of us getting a 5 seed after winning the Big Ten tournament. And we play a Richmond team in where did we play? It was such a short trip. Oh,
Were you guys in Buffalo? Yeah.
Sorry, it was such a short trip for us. I don't remember being there.
At least you can laugh about it now.
Yeah, Buffalo's the worst city in the whole United States.
That was the best thing for me tonight, knowing that I was going to be going wherever Iowa State was. When I saw Albany pop up on there that first time and Iowa State wasn't there, I'll admit my heart skipped a beat. I was like, gosh dang it, I don't want to go to Albany. Don't usually go to Albany.
Yeah, usually when you say that, that's when you end up at that location too.
And I'd been saying it all week that I was probably going to have to go to Albany. Like, I had convinced myself that's where we were going. But Greensboro, I've never been to North Carolina, so that will certainly be interesting. I think if I was making my, like I said before, I already bet the line on this game. I think Iowa will win this game. I think this just feels like a pretty good draw for them, where Auburn, like, they don't shoot the three very well. Like, if Iowa can come out and shoot and just knock down some shots, like, I think they give themselves a good chance, because I just don't think Auburn can keep up with them. But it's about forcing Auburn to play your style of ball and not really slow the game down and try and make it a defensive type of game.
The thing I struggle with this matchup is the streak they've been on, right? Like, they're a team. I mean, same thing happened with Ohio State. They ran into a hot team and a team that was desperate. I'm not saying, obviously, they're in the NCAA tournament, so it's not the same mindset as Ohio State had when they ran into them in the Big Ten tournament. But we're looking at a team that's lost 9 of the last 12. A really solid team to be a 9 seed. Like, they played in a really good conference. The nine games they've lost weren't no cupcakes. So I struggle with finding how the game is going to go, because this team could come out extraordinarily hot because of the timing they've had to get ready for this game. Iowa has timing as well, but the teams they've been playing has been far superior than Iowa has in the Big Ten.
The thing I would wonder is when you've lost 9 of 12, I mean, that can obviously take a toll on a team. You're not exactly sprinting into the NCAA tournament. Is there any vibe of, like, we're just really tired of each other, And I don't know. Like, it just is. It's one of those things. Like, I could see it being a detriment, where it's like it's been just a long year, and you've had a long month leading into this, and it's like the vibe is kind of just, we're ready to not be with each other anymore.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think when you get in the NCAA tournament, no matter what your seed is, I mean, just from my perspective, it's kind of just like a relief. Like, all things that were a problem regular season, I think, kind of go down the drain, because you realize, man, we just played basketball for 40 minutes. We move on to the next round. Like, that's all you're looking forward to. So I think from that aspect, I don't agree, just because just the accomplishment of just hearing your name called, I think it's a very a lot of people think it's really easy to get an NCAA tournament, but it's really not. It's one of the hardest things to do, and you have to really have a really solid season to make it. But yeah, man, I think this matchup worries me from a lot of different angles, but it is the best matchup of the 8-9 seed for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah, I actually did write down that Maryland West Virginia game. I think that will be pretty good too. I think the line on that one was 2.5. So I imagine that will also be a pretty close game. And I enjoy those 8-9 games when you get the two Power Five teams that have been in desperation mode of like we just are trying to make the tournament. You know, I feel like that adds an element of excitement. Those games can just always be. Those can be some of the best games of the tournament because they're just so evenly matched, such evenly matched teams.
Yeah. And realistically, we talked about this, I think last week. From 2 to 14 seeds, like it's really not that much of a difference, to be honest with you. Like it's all about matchups. It's all about who you get faced with. So at the end of the day, once you're in and have a solid understanding of your identity as a team, like I said, 40 minutes is all it takes to pull off that next round game.
Would you pick Iowa to win in your bracket?
Obviously, being a Hawkeye fan, Hawkeye alum, I have to go with Iowa, and I want to go with Iowa, and I think they will win. But I do think it's going to be a really, really intense game. I would imagine Auburn pressures their guards. I would think Iowa plays a lot of their 1-2-2 press and a lot of zone, just because of how Auburn struggles to shoot the ball, and they don't want to guard for 30 seconds in the shot clock. Auburn just decides to slow it down. So I would imagine a very zone heavily end of first half to second half by Iowa.
What would you think of a potential matchup with Houston?
This one is tough, dude, because I've been the biggest Houston fan this year. You know that. I thought they're a team that's going to run away with it and going to absolutely – no one's going to come close to them. They're down some bodies. They've been struggling.
Down Marcus Sasser. Yeah, their best player. Yeah.
So from Iowa's perspective, what better one seed can you get? A team that's wounded. So, I mean, I'm happy for Iowa. We got that draw with Houston, but Houston does scare me just because of how athletic and how well they play on defensive side of the ball. I mean, they're Iowa State on steroids, basically, of how they defend and how they're able to pressure the ball and get turnovers, and that's something Iowa can struggle with.
Needless to say, Houston is going to fit right in their new conference starting next year. They play exactly the style of ball that will fit very well in the Big 12. All right, let's flip things over to the Iowa State side. There's not a ton that you can really say because of the fact that they're playing a team that's playing in the first four. What do you think is the challenge of playing a team that's playing in the play-in game?
I think one of the challenges is having that team have a game under the belt. They get a rhythm down. They've seen them. They've been in the NCAA tournament game already. Obviously, traveling back to their location. Where's Iowa State's in Greensboro, so it's not terribly far, I guess, from where they're playing for the playing game. But that can definitely be a factor on whoever Iowa State gets. I would love to see a Mississippi State Iowa State game. I think that game might be in the 30s.
I was gonna say, yeah. The total would be 75.
Yeah, that would be one of those games you don't want to touch the under over.
That's Iowa versus Wisconsin football.
Yep, you just don't know.
Yeah, there's no idea. And then Pitt is like the exact opposite, where they want to play really fast and get up and down and try and score, and then they don't defend anybody.
I would imagine Mississippi State runs away with this just because I wasn't so hot on the ACC this year. I don't think the ACC was really good, and Pittsburgh had a pretty decent year in the ACC. I mean, damn, they were top of the ACC most of the year.
And they're still a 11
they're
seed.
Still 11 seed, so that shows where the committee was kind of looking at ACC conference, that they didn't think it was that strong this year. Same thing with the Big Ten. Rutgers not getting in. I think that shows they reward the other conferences.
Well, and even then, I mean, I think Virginia was a 4. I think Duke's a 4. Or Duke's actually a 5.
Yeah, 5.
I think Miami was a 5. Like, do they even have a team that's seated higher than that?
Not that I have noticed.
Man, tough year out east. North Carolina didn't even get into the dance. What'd you think of their decision to skip the NIT?
I'm not shocked. I feel like they're their
You want to
ego,
talk
I
about a
guess.
team that's ready to get to not be with each other anymore.
Right. Like you can kind of say their ego, I guess, as a program. I feel like you kind of figured they were going to decline the NCAA tournament or the NIT tournament bid because I mean, what's the point? You're a blue blood school. You're not playing to be in the NIT tournament. So I totally understand it. I don't think it's not as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. Like your NIT isn't that important of a tournament. Let's be honest.
I do think that there is I'm not going to say it's a high likelihood, but there is a chance that we could see both Iowa State and Iowa and Kansas City in the Sweet 16. I think that I would peg it, put it below, 30% or something like that. But I do think that is a possibility if you just get into some good situations, especially if Houston is as banged up as what they've been. Like that team looked like a shell of themselves today against Memphis in the AAC championship.
And the crazy thing is, not only Iowa and Iowa State are together, we have Drake as well. So we have essentially all three Iowa teams in the same region of the bracket. That has to be some kind of record. I would love to see history on that if that's ever happened before.
I was prepared to see Iowa State have to play Drake in the first round. I just felt like that was something the tournament committee would do as a punishment for the fact that Iowa State and Iowa don't play Drake in Northern Iowa.
Yeah. Drake's a good team, man.
They are.
I wouldn't be surprised they knock off Miami in the first round.
So I actually wrote this down. I saw some things on Twitter. Norchad Ormier, their Miami starting center, averages 13.6 points, 9.7 rebounds per game. He's day-to-day with an ankle injury and has been out, I think, for these last couple of games. When he's out, according to Evan Maekawa on Twitter, when he's out, Miami's metrics drop from 38th to 63rd, and Drake's win percentage goes to 60% based on the analytics going into the game. So obviously, it's all numbers on a piece of paper until the balls are out there bouncing. But if that guy doesn't play, I think Drake's got a great opportunity. And I mean, I think Drake's good enough that if they got hot, they could be in the Sweet 16 too. I think that is entirely legitimate. And how excited would the people in Kansas City be if 3 of the 4 teams in the Sweet 16 were from the state of Iowa?
That place would be bumping.
Yes.
It's crazy.
The power and light would be lit. That's for sure.
Yeah. Would Diesel make an appearance again?
They need to get him back out there. They had to make his show last night at the tournament. It was supposed to be $20 entrance, and because it was like 30 degrees outside, they made it free for everybody.
Hell yeah. Shout out Diesel.
Yeah. I think the Big 12 had to pay him a handsome sum to be sitting courtside for the championship game and then do the set across the street. The Big 12 probably really had to eat it on that one.
Oh yeah, they took such a huge loss, Jared. They're struggling to make that payment. Give me a fucking break.
Yeah, we just paid Shaquille O'Neal, I don't know, $1.5 million to come out and sit courtside for the basketball game,
Really what we made in 1 second of the Big 12 tournament.
Right. And then they had Fat Joe there the night before. Like I like how random these people were that they chose to be sitting courtside at their games.
Yeah, Fat Joe was a crap shoot with that one.
They showed him on the video board Friday night at the Iowa State Kansas game. This was so funny, dude. Showed him on the video board. They're like, everybody give a big hearty Big 12 welcome to Grammy Award winning artist Fat Joe. And I need like the crickets sounder. That's basically that's basically what it was. You just know everybody in the arena is like, who the hell is Fat Joe?
Yeah.
It's just like you have to be in a very specific mindset of early 2000s rap to be thinking about Fat Joe at a basketball game.
I mean, I don't know one of his songs, so
you don't know a single Fat Joe song?
I mean, I'm sure if I heard it, I would know.
I would say you would definitely know one if you heard one.
Yeah. I don't remember a song that I can name.
Yeah, I haven't thought of Fat Joe as being relevant since I was probably in the 7th grade, if we're being quite honest. As always, our basketball conversation on the podcast is presented by our friends at Sweet Caroline's up in Ames. Sweet Caroline's Kitchen and Cocktails. Perfect place to watch the tournament this week. Get out there with your friends. It's on Main Street in Ames. All right, I wrote down a couple other games that I thought looked kind of intriguing. Duke versus Oral Roberts. The Max Asmus show takes on the Blue Devils. I feel like the 5-12 matchup is the most cliche game to say this is going to be the upset of the tournament, but I think Duke loses this game.
Really?
But I think that also could be me overthinking it because the last time we saw Oral Roberts, they went to the Sweet 16.
See, I think Duke has a chance to get to the Final Four. Oral Roberts, though, that is an interesting matchup because they have some good players on the team. I mean, they have 7'5" center. They have obviously Max coming back after what he did. Was it the COVID bubble he went off in? So I mean, they have the ingredients to make that kind of Cinderella run, but I mean, it's just hard for me to see Duke. I guess they've done it in previous history of losing in the first round, so they have that. But
I was gonna say, C.J. McCollum and St. Bonaventure say hello.
Yep.
The Mercer Bears say hello. I think that was another one. Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked though if it just feels like one of those years we're gonna see like a Duke, UCLA, Houston type Final Four for some reason, just because of how bad the NCAA college basketball teams have been this year.
It's the kind of Final Four that you look at it and it could be 1981 or it could be 2023.
Exactly.
And you have no idea which one it is.
Like we could see Michigan State making a run. Like they play USC first round. I don't think USC is that great of a team. Solid team, but Michigan State's capable of making a run, beating Marquette, getting out of the region, getting the Sweet 16. I mean, Kansas State.
Purdue keeps proving you wrong too. Purdue keeps proving you wrong. Yeah.
I mean, Memphis is a solid team. They could upset Purdue. I don't see Florida Atlantic. I haven't watched much Florida Atlantic, so I can't really talk on their team. But Memphis coming off a game against Houston, that's a really big time win.
They go as Kendrick Davis goes.
Yeah.
But Kendrick Davis is really damn good, so that guy usually is going. It don't matter if his team goes as he goes because that guy's always going.
One of the things I found interesting, Jared, I don't know if this was your next topic you want to touch on, but Arkansas, Illinois, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have Illinois as a 9 seed. This kind of goes along with what we're talking about. Playing in Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah. It's Arkansas.
Against Arkansas. Now, if I'm Arkansas, I'm the same way as I feel like Iowa fans should be towards Auburn. How the hell does Illinois get Des Moines, Iowa as a 9 seed over 8 seed Arkansas? And Arkansas is an unbelievable team. Like I think they're capable of making a run too.
Well, and I mean, you can't imagine Kansas would be happy if they had to play Illinois in the second round in Des Moines.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still probably a very pro-Kansas crowd, but there would be more Illinois fans there than there would be for most other fan bases.
Right.
Shout out to Bill Self. Prayers up for Bill Self, man. Hope he's back on the sidelines this week.
Did they say, I didn't see the recent headlines, is he able to coach?
Yeah, they said they expect him to. He had a stent put in, I think, something like that. It was nothing, I don't know that he had a heart attack like what people were saying happened.
Right.
But he did have to have a procedure done on his heart, and hopefully he's I think they're planning on him being back on the sidelines, so that'll be good. But that team looked awfully damn good without him until last night. In their first 2 games, I thought they looked kind of tired last night against Texas, but I still think that team, when they're playing well, I think they're the best team in the country. They're the best team I think I've seen. When they're on, they're just so long and athletic and like can get after you so hard defensively. And then they got guys who knock down shots. Like Jalen Wilson is just
great player.
His ability to get to the free throw line and just cause havoc in what he can do offensively is, I mean, there's not many guys in the country who can do it like he can.
I mean, the more I look at their region, going back to the Final Four we were talking about, I mean, I see a Kansas UCLA matchup. Like, I don't. Gonzaga plays a Grand Canyon team. Grand Canyon is a very solid program, and Drew is a great coach. Always has great teams. We played them in the COVID bubble they're a 15 seed. That was a hard matchup for us. So they're a really good team that year. So that's an interesting game from my perspective. TCU obviously in the region, but man, Kansas has a really great looking route to the Final Four.
Can we talk about TCU for a second?
Yeah.
What do you think of the Eddie Lampkin stuff this week?
I'm not shocked, obviously, after what we've been talking about this whole season with headlines, how it's been handled by the program, how it's been handled in general. Reporters reporting idiotic headlines left and right. It's just a shame. It continued to talk about how crazy the NCAA college sports landscape is. They're just idiots and morons and people in the not the best interest for the kids all over the place, from off the court and on the court.
I was very surprised to see TCU never even put out a statement about it. That was kind of odd. They never even said that it was unequivocally false, which I thought was kind of odd. It was kind of just an ignore it type of situation. Man, and Eddie Lampkin said some things that I thought were serious enough that, especially when I saw a column from someone in Fort Worth earlier this week that talking about how Eddie had gotten a big head and all these kinds of things, which I don't know enough about the intricate details of it to weigh in on the NIL and like all that kind of stuff that was discussed. But it just felt like a lot for a 21-year-old kid who claims to be going through things, and it was like gunning for him and making him to be the bad guy and all this kind of stuff. And I felt like that was unnecessary, even if you don't agree with them, or even if if the program was happy to ignore it, then so probably should be the columnist, in my opinion. Like if the program doesn't think it deserves the time of day, then why do you?
Right.
Just to bash the kid.
It's just another headline just made out to damage the kid, and everything that's been handled, it looks like from the TCU perspective, has been just poorly handled. And I don't understand why not more people are talking about it from the coach's perspective and the program perspective. Rather, they go towards the player perspective and see. I mean, that headline that we were talking about NIL, how he got a big head. How do you go to that side of the story and not what's going on in the TCU program? How is that the first thing you go to?
Yeah, the headline was, this was from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. It said, TCU's Eddie Lampkin is an example of what can go wrong with NIL and a big head. And then it basically broke down from when Eddie had his big performance last year against Arizona in the NCAA tournament, gets a significant NIL deal. The story goes through to claim that he wasn't doing the work in the gym and all these different kinds of things, that he was complaining about his playing time and all this stuff. And basically boils down to NIL is bad because it gives people a big head and makes them not want to work to do the things that they need to do. And that was basically how I felt it went. My biggest issue with it is it felt like there was a lot of trying to put themselves inside of Eddie Lampkin's head when they clearly never talked to Eddie Lampkin, which I think is really unfortunate. You're projecting what you think somebody else's feelings or somebody else's actions mean onto them through what you're hearing from program sources, which would, in this instance, obviously not be the best source. So I just thought that was my frustration with it, is it seemed like the columnist was trying too hard to be like try to explain Eddie Lampkin's motives when he had never talked to Eddie Lampkin about what Eddie Lampkin's motives for things were,
Yeah. It just goes down the line, though. Everything we're talking about, reporters, the coaches, just the whole system is so flawed. And another example of a kid I'll be interesting what happens to him in the future, just because of everything that's came out and how public has
right.
on it.
Now, if someone's out there, if somebody was on the fence about recruiting Eddie Lampkin as a transfer, and you read this column, you might sit there and you'd be like, "Oh man, I don't know if we want this guy," know. And that's where that just felt like an attempt to just try and ruin somebody for no reason. It's like, come on, man, what do you have to do that for? But
no need for it.
No, and TCU's got a really good team, and it's unfortunate that it didn't work out with Eddie, because I think that their team would be even better, but it just felt like a kicking someone when they're down situation. Like, even if it was where some of these issues that were written about were true, and maybe there were some issues on the program side as well with what Eddie was doing, that's fine. why are those being handled in the media like that? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I'll be interested to see what TCU does. The first time that I picked the bracket, I had TCU going, I think, to the Sweet 16, and then I think I knocked them back. I wasn't 100% sold on it, but I still think that team is really good. One other game that popped out to me, UConn versus Iona. Rick Pitino in the headlines right now. Is being fought over for numerous jobs. St. John's, Georgetown, Texas Tech reportedly threw their name into the ring. How would that go? Rick Pitino in Lubbock.
That would be insane, but not surprised, right?
Right. I mean, I don't know. I'd be pretty surprised. I don't know if the Rick Pitino shtick would play in West Texas.
Would we though? At this point, Jared, would you be surprised?
No, but I'm just saying that it's like if he has the options to be in St. John's or to be at Texas Tech, why would he not be at, why would he not be at St. John's? Rick Pitino's winning at St. John's.
I don't know. I saw him get asked the question about his future, or whether it was a Georgetown job or I can't remember what it was, but he basically, he took the SID route of just answering about he's always about winning, and he stated their conference record and everything he's done at Iona, how much he loves this university and blah blah blah. So
right,
it's pretty obvious he's going somewhere at the end of this year. So
Rick Pitino's too good of a basketball coach though to toil around in the MACC. Nothing against the folks at Iona, but it's like if they're gonna let Rick Pitino back into the game, he might as well be in the Power Five. Like whatever at this point. All right, man. Who's your Final Four? Make your call right now.
Just looking at the bracket, man. It's a crapshoot. Beginning of the year, I had I had Alabama. After everything that's going on, I still have to go with them, even though I don't believe.
Did you hear what Greg Gumbel said on the show tonight?
I did not.
They sidestepped some criminal activity.
Oh no. That's a great way to put it.
He's announcing like that Alabama's the number 1 overall seed, and he's like the Crimson Tide, what such and such in the SEC, such and such overall, won the SEC regular season and tournament titles, had to sidestep some criminal activity involving their star player Brandon Miller, and it's like, oh, that's one way to put it, I suppose. There's one way to put it. Oh,
I like Alabama. This Duke region, man, Purdue's not getting out. I don't think they are. I like Tennessee, Duke, Marquette, Michigan State could make a run, Kansas State. This is just a loaded region, but
I just love how every time you say that Purdue's not going to do something, they do it.
They're not going to.
I don't know. Zach Edey seems like he's on a mission. Did you see that man today? Yeah. He was on a mission.
I think I'm gonna go with Kansas State coming out of this region.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Big 12 school. I think they're a really solid team. I do see them making a run out of this region, Midwest region. Another tough one. I think Texas gets upset early. I've never been a big Texas fan this year. Drake, I think, pulls off some upsets. I really like Houston, but I can't go against my Hawkeyes, right? Like, how do I choose Houston when Iowa is my blood, my family? So I have to.
Are you an analyst or are you a fan? What are you? Come on.
I don't know what I am anymore, Jared. After today, I don't know who I am, what I am, where I should go, how I should do it. I have to go with Iowa in the Final Four.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Put your analyst cap on for 1 second. You're picking Houston.
I'm picking Houston. Analyst cap. Other analyst cap on. I'm going Iowa. Last region, Kansas, been high on them all year. UCLA, either of those teams. I like UCLA coming out of that, surprisingly. I think UCLA comes out.
Okay. I think I had Alabama. I think I had Marquette, Kansas, and I actually picked Texas, dude. I think Texas is playing really, really well right now. Like on some level, not having Timmy Allen kind of like took a cook out of the kitchen,
Yeah.
It just seemed like they played really good ball this weekend. But you're right that they seem like the kind of team that everybody will get really excited about and thought that they should be a number 1 seed, and then they'll lose in the first round.
Yep.
You know,
Usually how that goes too.
they'll get upset by a toothpaste brand Colgate.
Colgate's a good team, man.
They
Really
gave
good
Wisconsin
team.
some trouble last year. I was impressed by them. Yeah,
Gave Wisconsin trouble. I remember they played in our region. We almost played them in the round of 32 my junior year. They almost upset Tennessee. Really, really great program. I wouldn't be shocked them making noise in the NCAA tournament.
the basketballs are going to be a problem this week. This is my last prediction. Everybody's going to be complaining about the basketballs. I'm calling it right now.
Hey, new basketballs.
I saw it.
New basketballs, new rims, new nets, new court, new concession stand food, all the above. It's all happening right here on the NCAA tournament. Get your tickets now.
Shout out to our folks here in Des Moines that are hosting the site. Seriously, get your tickets at the Iowa Event Center. Go hang out with those people. All right, man. We'll I don't know if we're gonna do another episode this week or what we're gonna do. We talk.
We definitely should.
We'll talk before I leave for Greensboro. We'll talk. We'll talk to everybody again soon. Peace.